Alrighty, people, welcome in a Sunday night, ending your weekend, about
How
to
we doing?
get back into the work week, but we are here with another stream to hopefully entertain you and to have some fun together. NBA free agency started today, and as Joel mentioned in the chat there, it's one of the most disappointing starts to free agency in a long time. I feel like normally free agency is so exciting, so many deals going down, and it's high flying action. It's been so boring, so disappointing. But
No idea what's going on.
OKC is meeting with Isaiah Hartenstein, which is potentially going to be a big ad for us. It doesn't sound like he's going back to the Knicks. They've spent a lot of money already. So Hartenstein could be a great fit for us. Just not a lot happening. Paul George is not going to go back to the Clippers. So as an OKC fan, I love that because we have their next 3 first-round picks. Let's make the Clippers as bad as possible. I love that idea. And your Knicks, the Nova Knicks, are pretty much set.
Shout out to the Nova Knicks, baby. Come on.
All right, but we see you. What's up, Alex? What's up, Jimmy? Welcome in, guys. Let us know who we're hanging out with today. Do us a favor, hit that like button. We are going to be reviewing people's Dynasty teams on the stream today. Very simple way for you to get your team reviewed. That's just by clicking the link that we just put in the chat there for you. That is our a la carte team reviews. It doesn't matter what code you used when you signed up, but you can get a team review from us no matter what. We're going to start the stream off today just quickly. What's up, Albert? Welcome in, my man.
How we doing, brother?
We're going to start the stream off with some Would You Rather. All right, so
Would you rather?
let's play some Would You Rather in the chat. Let's start here. Dynasty Superflex League. Jared Goff or Nico Collins? I thought this was a pretty difficult one myself.
I would say Nico. I think Nico's going higher in drafts. I would say he's a top 12 to 15 wide receiver. Jared Goff, technically not around that area. In a Superflex, it does make it difficult, though. You know, in a long-term perspective, Jared Goff gets that long-term contract extension. Same with Nico Collins. But I'll take Nico based off of his youth as well and his long-term contract extension with his CJ Stroud.
Yeah, it's man, I feel like this is more difficult than the chat is saying. But it looks like the consensus is Jared Goff. I don't know. I mean, he's about to be 30. That's not old, and just got a big long-term contract on a very good offense. I'm not going to say the best offense he's been with because he's been in some really good McVay offenses, but in a Superflex league, I mean, that's a difficult call. We got a guy who averaged more points per game than a lot of people last year. 11th in points per game amongst quarterbacks. Nico, I get it. I think you can go either way. I genuinely think so as well. But I guess Nico makes a lot of sense. I see you guys. Style says Nico. Sam says give me Goff. Landon says Nico.
I think like if you're in the middle of the third round, you're probably taking Nico Collins. You're not taking you will risk it a little bit more with Jared Goff.
Maybe. I think it depends on how many quarterbacks are off the board at that point.
For sure. Yeah, I mean obviously a lot is dependent on that.
All right, let me try and get another good one, another spicy one. All right, let's call this a tight end premium. Let's say this is a full point premium. So you get 2 points per reception for a tight end.
Yeah, I mean that's Kyle Pitts in a full point premium. I think it's without a premium. I think the conversation can sway either way.
Let's say half point premium then.
I think half point premium, it's open to conversation.
Okay.
I would say Tank Dell is a good conversation to go out and try to maybe draft over Kyle Pitts. Once again, 2 other guys that are going around the same area in a dynasty startup. You know, Tank Dell at late 4th. Same around Kyle Pitts. He goes late 4th, maybe early 5th. So I think it's very, very close with both of those guys.
Yeah. Style says Pitts easily. We've got Matthew who says Pitts in a half point premium. Landon says Dell. He's a future PPR king. Very close call. I think in a half point I do lean Kyle Pitts. And I think there's a chance that Kyle Pitts actually improves his value this year. Obviously, it could go the opposite way, but I don't think I think you'll have a very strong conviction on Kyle Pitts after this year, regardless of what happens. You have a very strong conviction that, okay, he's not the guy, or, oh my gosh, we're sitting on gold here, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's a make or break year for Kyle, feels like.
And obviously the most exciting, would you rather, before we get into some team reviews, Gabe Davis or Darnell Mooney? This is the question everybody wants answered. This is the one that everyone's sitting on their seats and waiting to get some information on.
Sitting on their seats and waiting on Darnell Mooney, man. Come on. Sleeper. Go get him.
So you're going Mooney. Yeah, I'd rather a third round pick over any of these names, but I don't see the scenario I'm excited about Mooney. I could see, I guess, in best ball, Gabe Davis being a little more interesting. I don't have much interest in either of these names. Style says is neither an option. So we'll go Gabe Davis, I guess, there. But we are going to be looking at some people's teams here on the stream. Quavon asked a question. He says, I know you do this for people in the Mother Flocker tier. Would you be willing to change a certain price just to do it for us once if we don't have a subscription? Yes, my friend. We talked about that at the very beginning of today's stream. We actually talked about that. This is a new feature that's been implemented on the Flock Fantasy website.
That is right.
It's a feature that's been widely requested by a lot of people, and we're finally able to do it for you guys. Doesn't matter if you have a subscription yet, or if you have a subscription with a different creator. Let's say you use code domain or Flock or FSE. It doesn't matter what creator you have a code with, or even if you have a subscription, you can now get your team reviewed by the a la carte service. I just put a direct link in the chat if that interests you, but that link is going to send you to, well, first you're going to have to make an account, because you got to make an account to get anything on the website, right? But you don't have to get a membership. I still think membership's the best bang for your buck, but this is an option.
Exactly.
You can choose whatever league you want us to once you sync your leagues up, whatever team you want us to look at. Make sure the rookie picks are correct with this drop down. Just click that little arrow button there. Put your Discord name here, whatever information you want us to know. Once you hit continue, you can see obviously Badaki and myself here, the land crew. That is how you get your team reviewed with the a la carte service. The other option is for you to be a yearly Mother Flocker member. You get a complimentary team review when you become a Mother Flocker member. And of course, you also get all the rankings, all the tools, the premium tools on the website, the calculator, and obviously all articles, databases, etc. But because there was so many people who wanted that service, we decided to go ahead and give that to you guys. So
yeah, do one-off options for you guys.
Exactly. What's up, Maddie? Welcome in. Sam says Davis, I guess. Yeah. It's choosing between Burger King and KFC. What's up, Dennis? Welcome in. We appreciate y'all for being here. All right, the first team that we are reviewing,
KFC, by the way.
Sorry.
Yeah, I said Burger King and KFC is like American KFC. Yeah, I get it, but Australian KFC.
Australian KFC is definitely better.
Yeah, S tier.
The Pistons are signing Cade Cunningham to a 5-year, $226 million extension. That's his rookie max, so no surprise there. All right, we are going to start with Timothy Skea's team. His Discord name is Dr. Pepper Drinker. And why don't you walk us through some of this context, and we'll help this guy out.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper Drinker. Thank you.
And sorry,
so much.
I just wanted to say, we've been doing this for the last couple of days. It's been a lot of people are deciding to sign up because of it. So just want to let you know, if you do sign up today, we guarantee that your team will be reviewed in the next 3 days. Guaranteed. That's the turnaround. But go ahead, Badaki.
Yeah, we appreciate you. He said 10-team PPR, 1 quarterback league, no tight end premium. I just recently did the startup with my friends. I punted running back and got elite wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterback. But was wondering if you guys think I should make some moves for more contender type of running backs, or if I should hold my picks and see where I'm at during the season. Okay, let's have a look. You said 1 quarterback, 10-team. It's going to be a little bit of a small league.
Also, sorry, I sent some stuff in the chat. I want to make sure we saw it. He says wondering if, since it's more of a shallow format, if I should try to tier up for better receivers and use my depth. It's a 4-point passing touchdown league, and there are also big play bonuses for long touchdowns. Just realized I didn't mention that it's a start 8. Okay, so
there's a start 8, 1 quarterback with 2 wide receivers and 2 flex, as you can see. He put it there.
A lot of start 8, 1 quarterback people out there.
Yeah,
And this is the format that we're looking at here with a team like yours, then, which is what he mentioned there. But okay,
Tom
so
Skirt, appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for the support. It looks like in the community you are ranked first. I have a
yes,
quick look at what he is ranked in my rankings currently. I'm pretty sure I would be on par with that number one. Yes, he is ranked first for me as well.
and in my rankings, I believe it would be the same. There's a pretty big discrepancy there. Yes,
Yeah, no
so
question.
you are a tower,
You are a
a
singular tower.
single shack.
And
If you
let us
will.
know if you're here, by the way. And if not, I don't think he has said he is here. If you're here, and anyways, doesn't matter.
Just let us know
At
if
the
you're in the chat.
quarterback, yeah, at the quarterback position, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Drake May, phenomenal quarterback room. Don't need to worry about
Yeah, I
that.
kind of wish it was
About that.
super flex.
100%. At the running back room, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Javonte Williams, Kendre Miller, Marshawn Lloyd. The list goes on there with Zach Charbonnet as well. You get 2 rookie running backs, but you still have some opportunities for some of these guys to come around as well. So I love that running back room. At the wide receiver position, you can start up to 4 wide receivers, if I am not mistaken. 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. So CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors, and Zaza there. You also have Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith, and Jigba with Deontay Johnson, and then Sam Laporta. I mean, this is
Okay.
a phenomenal team so far.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to know how the draft went and how everyone let you get this team. I mean, it sounds like this is a home league, and it sounds like not everyone really knew exactly what they were doing. I wonder if running backs went off the board quickly, and these guys weren't as in touch with the rookie class, which left Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks down the board for you. But I'm really curious. I bet you like some weird stuff happened, like Allen and Mahomes went in the first round or something. I'm trying to make sense of the team you were able to build, because if this is a team that might typically after a couple years you get that kind of domination, but after a startup, that shows me that potentially this league is not very versed in dynasty football.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
good job taking advantage of it, because you built a really
Yeah, no,
good
this
team.
is great. This is a great team. Obviously he was wondering if what type of moves he can make, if maybe he should get more of contender type of running back, so I should hold with his picks. And I think that's a good conversation to have. I guess we'll go straight to that.
I would say I'm not super pressed on touching this running back room right now.
Exactly.
I don't mind the
I'm
idea of
indifferent.
like a veteran Kamara, a veteran, that we know is going to score points but won't cost us much at all.
Yeah, the biggest thing is price, I would say.
Even a James Conner will be a perfect add for this team, because you have Trey Benson. You could start the year with James Conner, Zach, or Javonte Williams as your starters, but there's so much what ifs here that I'm willing to hold. Marshawn Lloyd, we've talked about that plenty of times. Kendre Miller with Alvin Kamara. Actually, yeah, Alvin Kamara or James Conner would be if you can get one of those guys, that's a perfect addition for this team.
Especially having Kendre, yeah. Kendre, yeah.
Yeah, if Ken Walker goes down, if Javonte actually is the starter, Jonathan Brooks, if he can, be healthy, he can be an impact guy this year. So no, I don't think I would really touch this outside of like maybe adding one of those names. Let me know if you see a different route though before we go forward.
No, I completely agree. I was looking at some type of running backs where he could potentially go out and get. I don't personally see anyone outside of the names that you mentioned. I mean, maybe he can get a Raheem at a cheap price, like you said, James Conner.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a shot on a Zach Moss, a Devin Singletary? But I'm not Brian Robinson. I'm not necessarily trying to make these moves either. Only if they kind of fall into my lap. Only if something happens and you can send a third for one of these players.
If
but
we're gonna,
I don't know
if
if I'm
we're gonna
willing
trade
to.
for a vet, it has to be someone that we know we can start straight away, and can contribute to us making the playoffs. So I think those 3 names are good. Mostert's a great addition. Let's look at where Kamara is first in the scheme of things.
Yeah. Let's see.
And he's on the team that is last. That team has Jacobs, Pollard, Pacheco. He's got a lot of running backs. I feel like there's got to be some wiggle room there. With Alvin Kamara, I mean, we have to keep in mind that if this is an inexperienced league, this might be one of those leagues where Alvin Kamara goes like in the first 3 rounds or something.
Yeah, he's valued pretty high.
But if we can send him, I mean, I think I'd be willing to pay a second for Kamara for any of these names. Maybe not Connor, but for Kamara, I would send a second in a 1 quarterback league.
Kamara, I don't disagree.
But for the other two, I think it would have to be a third. But
Yeah, I would agree. I'm just looking.
I don't really want to lose anyone off this team to make that happen. Like, I'm not sending Deontay in that deal.
Well, the only person I thought of was like Javon. Like, can you send Javonte in a third
For Kamara? I'd
Yeah,
rather do that straight up.
just Javonte for Kamara to see if that works out? And he probably is more valuable technically because he is a younger running back coming off of still his rookie contract. So, I think maybe something along those lines. I'm happy to pivot in that way. And then you lock up that Saints backfield.
Mm-hmm. And you got Kendra and Kamara.
Yeah, exactly. So especially if whenever
And
one of those guys pop
I mean,
off.
I don't know how aware these people are in this league, but he could be aware and wanting to get more opportunities in that backfield. This guy's got Raheem Mostert. He's got James Conner and Ken Walker as well. In this scenario, can I send him? What's his quarterback room look like? It's pretty good. I mean, what about Jacoby Myers and a third?
Yeah, I think how about maybe we say the people we're willing to move? Like, I'm willing to get off of Drake May, Aldrich Estime, Zeke, Jacoby Myers. Those are the guys, and Javonte Williams and Zach Charbonnet. Those are the players I'm willing to move, and however way we can package these guys to get some capital, I'm happy to do so.
May, Myers, Estime.
Yeah, May, Myers, Estime, Charbonnet, Williams, and that's it. I think those are the guys that I'll be willing to move.
Oh, did you see that? It just told me to autocorrect it to the little what is that on top of that? The E. I just wanted to get fancy.
Oh,
anyway, we'll put this at the top here, so you know these are the movable pieces. But yeah, I think Kamara for Javonte is potentially ideal. Then the teams who have James Conner, Raheem Mostert, I think you could send a third in Myers potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Myers plus a third. And we're not valuing Myers too much here simply because I don't think he's a bad player. It's just this format. You can only start 4 wide receivers anyway. If Myers ever touches your starting lineup, you're in a bad spot. And then the other one was Connor.
Yeah, James Conner.
That's going to be difficult.
I think a lot of people wouldn't mind, like, I don't know, would you take a Zach Charbonnet right now straight up for James Conner?
You know what? That's a great call.
Because I guess it just depends on how people perceive Zach Charbonnet and his potential workload coming into this year.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think a straight swap is probably ideal there.
All right, so those are some options to get a running back. Again, we don't want to send like your first and something to go get a Saquon or whatever. Let's just rock. I mean, rock with what we got. You got enough here with Brooks, Benson, Javonte, Kendra. If you add a Kamara, Connor, a Mostert, you're looking good. As far as tiering up, because we don't need to touch our quarterback room, we don't need to touch our tight end room, obviously. As far as tiering up, I'm not opposed to a move. For example, if you can attach Jordan Addison with something, I like the idea of moving there. Addison plus what equals an upgrade. So what are we wanting to move? I mean, I guess Javonte could be in that piece.
Yeah, Javonte will most likely be that piece. Yeah.
But if we wanted to, that's one format. But if we wanted to really hit home, I think we'd have to attach Jordan Addison with Kyler Murray maybe to a quarterback needy team. The other option is Addison plus.
I guess it's kind of difficult because this is a 10-man, so every quarterback needy team is pretty legit unless they really want to tier up or they're a Ravens fan or something or a Cardinals fan or something, like. Depending
on the needs of the team we're targeting, there's a running back, quarterback, and wide receiver we can throw them. So let's start with teams that aren't good at quarterback. This guy's got Daniels and Prescott. Can you get your way into Drake London? I would do that. So that actually seems pretty reasonable. Addison and Kyler for Drake London. That seems reasonable.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
this team has Caleb Williams and Tua, so he probably feels okay. But can we find our way into a Garrett Wilson, for example? What's his wide receiver room look like? Actually, his wide receiver room is pretty weak.
The Garrett Wilson team.
Yeah.
Let's see. Garrett, yeah, his wide receiver room is pretty weak, so
I'll say this.
Giving Garrett up might be a bit difficult.
With how good our team is already, I would be willing to do like an Addison plus my first for a Garrett Wilson.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
As an option for him. Justin Herbert. Yeah, I think we've reached the limit of teams that you could do a quarterback with. But how about running back? Who needs running back help?
Let's have a look here. Worst team.
Yeah.
Zach Moss, James Conner. I mean, we're already talking about the James Conner dude. So it's once again, a bit difficult in a 10-man league here.
I like the idea of an Olave ad. I know we're on opposite sides here, but I do like the idea of an Olave ad. And actually, we can add Olave and Kamara here.
Sure.
And that would be really, really exciting. I would say we can send them Addison. We can send you Javonte. We can send you Addison, Javonte. I'm also going to give you Charbonnet. And a second. And I think I would even settle with Addison, Javonte, and a first in 25.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with all
in a 10-man start 8. That feels comfortable.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. I'm okay with Olave. Look, it's not the player, it's the situation. And yes, new offensive coordinator is coming in, but I would say if his value does drop depending on the way I am envisioning it, then I think maybe this price, even in a one quarterback, is not too bad because it is one quarterback.
If you could get this deal done, you would be winning the deal, I think, pretty heavily.
Yeah, exactly. So
but, again, all of these are just ideas to get you in the door. We say this very consistently. No trade that we send you should be accepted straight away. Every trade that we get completed includes 5 counters at minimum. So these are starting points for you guys. We're not saying this is going to be the finishing point, but most times it's just giving you inspiration, trying to get you in the door.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I actually don't mind a Tyreek Hill ad either, or like a Devonta Smith. This team has both of those names.
Tyreek and Devonta Smith. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I wonder if we could give for Devonta Smith. Would you do Addison and Deontay for Devonta in this league? I would do either of those offers, actually. Addison and Deontay for Smith. Or Addison and Javonte for Devonta Smith. I would do either of those options.
I would do that. I would do that. Just had to see it get right now. Addison, Deontay.
Yeah.
I think that works.
I don't know that. I mean, I guess you could do Tyreek for that same deal, but it sounds like this is one of those leagues that isn't very aware of Dynasty in general.
Yeah.
And then if we can go get
these higher names are going to be more difficult to kind of expand on.
If we can go get a Waddle, I would love that. So Addison, like again, this is probably not happening, but we would both do this, I assume. Addison and a first for Waddle.
Yes.
Okay. Again, start 8. You can only start 4 wide receivers anyway. You've got a very good team. Let's try and make it even more top heavy. Nico, would you send Addison and does this player need a running back? No, they don't.
I mean, I would even do those May what?
He's got only one quarterback. We'll give you Addison, Drake May, and Javonte or Deontay.
Sure.
And does that get us to Nico? Or does that start the conversation with the owner?
I agree, yes. I'm okay with that.
AJ Brown is an interesting ad here. Let's throw that same exact deal that we did with Garrett. I would do for AJ Brown as well. I don't think you're getting your hands on Marvin. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't think
that's
you could do that
really the
either.
main deals out there for you. But look, you're, if I was to grade this team on a letter grade, this would be an A.
I mean, yeah, this is a great
A
team.
minus, I'd say.
You just gotta get those other little heavy hitters, and then even without the heavy hitters, your team is still stacked and still strong with the depth that you have specifically at the wide receiver and running back room. I would even say, I think you, and in all positions, I would say if anything, the worst depth you have is tight end position, but
Yeah.
even then, that's still looking good. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
A minus. I mean, so let's say some of these potential deals that and there's a lot that we sent out there. We always try and play best case scenario, the ideal world, if you will. I think Kamara for Javante is ideal if that player
I think
wants
so
to
as
get
well.
younger. But of course, there's a lot of options we've given you here as starters. And I also love the Addison and Kyler for London deal, but I think I prefer. Yeah, let's just say those are the two that happened. I don't know what will happen. Even if you get one of these trades done, you're gonna be feeling good. But you've got Alvin Kamara now, and you've got Drake London. So you've got a roster that has Lamar Jackson. You'll start Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Brooks, or some combination of Brooks, Benson, Williams, Kendre if Kamara goes down. At wide receiver, you're going to start CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors, and we're starting Drake London as well. Zay Flowers is our fifth, and we've got Sam Laporta. You're absolutely making the playoffs. And
No question.
You're absolutely the strongest team in your league already. So you've done a great job building out this team. It's just about understanding the format and trying to take advantage of that for anyone who doesn't understand the format, right? If there's anyone in your league who's like, you know what, I need depth. And it sounds silly because most of us who've been playing Dynasty in this format would recognize that. But Badaki and I know this because we answer questions every single day about Dynasty. And people do trade for depth even in shallow leagues. So find that person and try and, not take advantage.
Take advantage.
But
Take advantage.
Yeah.
Not take advantage, but take advantage.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna send you this this screenshot so you have it, the whiteboard, if you will. But yeah, great team.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. You're killing it, man, and it's. I don't know what else to say. I'll be honest. This is if you don't even make the moves, we could have said just keep your team, and your team would have been just as strong.
Oh, 100%.
Obviously, you make it. Obviously, you can make it stronger.
Sometimes I open up a
anyways.
team review and I look at a team and I'm like, how am I supposed to help this person improve?
Yeah.
But we always try and go like the extra mile to give you as many ideas as possible. And I think we've done that for you. So good luck with those deals. And congratulations on a really, really good team.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next team, which is Fighting Glandmen.
Fighting Glandman.
I don't even know what that means, but I
Same.
really
No
appreciate
idea.
you supporting us. What is a Glandman? I actually have to look this up now.
Yeah, have a look.
A Glandman, the prostate gland is something that came up.
Oh boy, careful.
The
Imagine it was
Glandmen of the
Imagine
island.
that was something completely inappropriate and you just looked it up on screen.
Yeah, that actually could have gone really bad. I don't know what that is. I actually don't know what that is.
Terribly wrong.
But we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for signing up to get a team review, for being a supporter. I'm pretty sure you got a a la carte team review. If anyone out there wants their team reviewed, it's very, very simple now. It has never been easier. It doesn't matter if you're a member. It doesn't matter if you're using our promo code or a different person's promo code. With the link that we just put in the chat, it'll also be in the pinned comment later on. You can sign up to an a la carte team review. Just tell us with that link what league you're in, what team you want us to review, double check the rookie picks are correct, enter your Discord name, what information you want us to know, and then you've got our beautiful faces here that you can select us for a team review. That's the a la carte store, and it's available to anybody who wants their team reviewed by us. Now, the other option we have to say is that you become a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. But Aki and I still believe that's the best value. That's the best bang for your buck because you get so much on top of a team review.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who just want to buy the team reviews, and that's available to you regardless of what promo code you used at sign up. All right, so
Right here. I'll have a look at this team. fighting Gland, and he doesn't have any details. I think you kind of
The chat
looked at that already.
is
Yeah,
there though.
the
Have you
chat
had a
is
look at the
there.
chat there?
I have not had a look at it. Hit the chat. Okay, he says, I think I'm a contender this year. Last year was the startup draft. We just got done with the rookie draft for 2 years. Says, I love this team, but need to know how to manage it moving forward. This is
Okay.
my first Dynasty team. Okay.
Cool. We can definitely help with
Yeah,
that.
we can definitely have a look here. And looking at this team,
It is
I
12
mean,
man.
a 12 man, another pillar, it looks like. Not that big of a gap, but
Tower.
you are
Yeah,
first.
there's
Yeah,
a tower.
there's a tower here. I mean,
So you're a 12 team start 10, which you're probably I would imagine this is what your lineups look like, which means that you can start 5 wide receivers. You either have 3 wide receivers in your starting lineup, or you have
or the other one,
3 flex
or
options
3 flex options
available to you. But you are a start 10 roster.
All right. Having a look at this team here, Jordan Love, Bryce Young, Will Levis with Michael Penix Jr. So you do have some good depth there at the quarterback position. I would say your QB2 is a guy that we believe in Bryce Young, but that can easily change, obviously, by the end of this year where you're probably struggling at the quarterback position. But a lot is going to ride on Bryce Young as that QB2, but somebody, once again, that we do believe in at the running back position.
I would just say between these 3 names, I feel a lot of safety because there are so many unknowns. I just need one of these guys to be good.
Yeah,
Between Bryce Young, Will Levis, and Michael Penix, I just need one of these guys to be good for me. So there's enough there for me to feel some security.
Yeah, I completely agree. At the running back position, Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, Rico Dowdle, and I think that is a great starting lineup at the running back position so far.
Yeah.
I mean, those are 5 running backs, or technically 4 running backs that you're going to be starting from week 1, from Jonathan Taylor to Isaiah Pacheco, that you're going to have to be rotating in some way, some shape or form. So that's great. And then Rico, I mean, I keep saying is a good high upside play coming into this year. At the wide receiver position, you can start up to 5 wide receivers: CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Drake London, Roma Dunze, T. Higgins, Javon Baker, Xavier Legette. That list kind of goes on there. I would say your wide receiver 5 is a little bit shaky. I mean, maybe wide receiver
5. I'd say 6.
Wide receiver 6. Yeah, he is pretty deep. But I guess when I mean, like, comfortable starting this year in a Roma Dunze, you're probably not comfortable starting this year.
Sure, I guess
Xavier
like
Legette,
this
you're not
year,
comfortable. But in the sense of a long-term perspective, this is great. This is phenomenal, right? Because if you're trying to compete this year, I think you're weak at that Roma Dunze spot, which is wide receiver 4, or I would say wide receiver 5 technically, because you have CD, Jamar, London, T, you're starting. So wide receiver 5 is a little bit shaky. With being able to start 5 wide receivers, but that's why you have the running backs. But at the tight end position, Trey McBride, and then that list goes on. Don't spend too much time here. So
the first thing that I noticed is, and this is just a general suggestion, when you submit a team review, we want to improve your team. We also want to improve your league if we can. So sometimes I'll throw suggestions your way. Any league where you're rostering Malik Heath, Hayden Hurst, Myles Gaskin, Malik Willis, or Mac Jones, or Jerick McKinnon at this point, your rosters are probably too big. And I imagine your waiver wire is completely barren. So the first thing I would just suggest is whoever is the commissioner of the league, I would just suggest to put it to a vote if you can limit your bench spots. I know it's Dynasty. I know we want to hang on to every single name, but there's also like a part of Dynasty that you're not playing, which is the waiver wire. Yeah, the waiver wire isn't supposed to be stacked full of superstars, but in a normal Dynasty league, I'd say, or a more competitive waiver wire format, guys like Brock Purdy would have been on the waiver wire a couple years ago. Guys like Kyron Williams potentially last year. So all I'm saying is that the waiver wire is a huge part of Dynasty, and people who are in leagues who have benches that are just way too big, they don't get to experience that. And it is really fun. Having Fab, betting on players, is a really fun part. A report comes out about a player that you've never heard about because they're a rookie or undrafted free agent. You bid against your league mate, right? So I feel like your people, it's like, I get it, because like in Dynasty, you're like, I don't want to miss out on any player that could potentially be good. But you're ruining this entire, you're not experiencing this entire part of Dynasty. That is really, really fun. So these benches are way too deep. I mean, let's look at some of these teams. We got Brandon Powell rostered. Keishon Butte is still rostered. Matt Breida is rostered.
Leonard Fournette is still rostered.
Will Mallory is rostered. We've got Leonard Fournette, like you said. Danny Gray, Adam Troutman. There's not a league that exists where Adam Troutman should be on a roster. Josh Oliver? Who the fuck is Josh Oliver? Sorry, excuse me. I know who he is. It was a joke.
Jalen Reagor still available. Russell Gage. Oh my God.
Terrence Marshall is rostered. Allen Robinson is on a Dynasty team. River Craycraft is rostered. So we're hammering home a point here, but all we're trying to say is your waiver wire would be completely naked. That's not fun. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. You want your fab to mean something. You want the waiver wire to be active and alive. I mean, in this league, Brock Purdy was probably drafted in a rookie draft. Do you know what I mean? Or like he was already picked up in this sort of format. Like, why not select every quarterback that goes in every round and just add them to your roster and see what happens, instead of like having to make critical decisions for your team. So anyway, just wanted to say that real quick. Stop says top waiver wire option, LaDainian Tomlinson. Sam says, gosh. I'm with you. I'm trying to tell my guys in my home league that it's too much. We have 30 roster spots in a 10-man league. Yeah. So you're just not experiencing, a part of Dynasty that's really fun. So just a suggestion. But this team's very good.
This team is great here, and
I think we can use our running back room to make some moves.
No question. To maybe solidify that other wide receiver, maybe that I was kind of mentioning, or whatever other position you were thinking. But
to me, Ramondre Stevenson is the name I'd move.
Okay.
I think he has more trust in the community, but I think he's on the worst offense. So I think you can get the most between these three names, Stevenson, White, or Pacheco. I think you can get the most for Stevenson, and he is on the worst offense at this moment, what we project to be the worst offense. So he would be the name that I would try and move, and I'd be looking at packaging that maybe with a Leggett or a Higgins and seeing what we could do at that wide receiver room. I don't know about you. That's the moves I would make. Now, look, if Isaiah Pacheco is going to get you a lot more, I'm open to that conversation. I just don't think that's the case.
I think that is the case. I mean, maybe not on the Flock Fantasy website that he is higher, but I think
what's it on KTC then?
On Keep Trade Cut, Ramondre Stevenson is the lower out of those three wide receivers. Pacheco RB12, Rashad White RB14. It's not that big of a gap here, of course. But I'm okay to move Ramondre Stevenson based off of this depth, but I'm happy to keep Ramondre Stevenson because he's somebody that's been invested by the offense. But I understand him being the weakest.
I'll say this:
in the weakest offense,
if they're all going to give me the same return, Stevenson is the one that I want to move. But I guess people do view them so. I thought Stevenson would with that contract would be viewed much more higher.
I would say a lot of people are viewing Stevenson the way you view him. Not that big of a fantasy asset in the sense of
I don't think he's
specifically on the offense, specifically like on the bad offense. Like people love Rashad White because he's getting all the PPR opportunities. Isaiah Pacheco because he's playing with Patrick Mahomes and he's going to be getting a lot of scoring opportunities. Ramondre Stevenson, because of the issues that you've mentioned, people are kind of off him. I think our Ramondre Stevenson lovers will still love what he's going to be able to do there.
I think every league has a Stevenson hive. I don't know that every league has a Rashad White hive. I feel like he's the name that people hate the most of these three names, even though he's probably the most valuable one.
Stevenson?
No, Rashad White.
Oh, Rashad White is hated the most. Right, okay.
I think he's the most hated, even though he's probably the most valuable asset. But, so I don't care. I don't care who it is. Okay, Stevenson, White, Pacheco. Let's try and package one of those names with something and we want to upgrade at wide receiver. So
bad at wide receiver.
The first thing we need to do is look at bad running back teams.
Swagger Town is the worst one.
Swagger Town is the worst one. We can swing for the fences here with an Amon-Ra deal. For example, I would absolutely package any of those names plus T. Higgins for an Amon-Ra St. Brown. And honestly, I would even add more. Like, that could be your initial offer. But I would even add, and I'm sure we would all add more. I'm just saying that's the initial offer. But I would even add my 25 first, and I'll ask for your 25 second back.
Sure. I think that's great.
And I'd pay more than that. But those are the two offers that you can play around with and see where you land with, right?
And start off here with the starting point, of course. But yeah, getting Amon-Ra there could be phenomenal.
I would pay much more than that. But that is like the starting offer. I don't feel like Pittman is the move. If we're going to try and attach a Higgins, that's not the move for me. I don't mind.
How do you feel about...
Go ahead.
Good. All right. I was going to say the next team, like DK Metcalf.
Yeah. I don't mind the Metcalf move. I was going to double check we were on my rankings because Rashee Rice is wide receiver 23. That's very high. I didn't expect the community to be that high on Rashee Rice from our conversations. Anyway, DK Metcalf, I just don't know that it's making the difference we want it to. Sure. Like, what are we going to use him? Look, I'll say this. If you can package any of these names in a second for Metcalf, I would do that. How about that?
Okay.
How would that feel for you?
I think that definitely feels great. That feels great for sure.
And I think you're actually overpaying there based off the market. Like, you might be able to get a third back as well. But that's an option.
That is definitely an option. I guess like maybe you can go more of like in a win now scenario, like maybe using one of those seconds for like a Deebo Samuel. I don't know how you feel about George Pickens. I know you're a big George Pickens guy coming into this year, but I think I want more security in that fifth wide receiver. If that makes any sense.
Sorry, I just wanted to add like Marvin Harrison with the same deal that you'd get Amon-Ra for. But I hear you. So George Pickens, which team is this? This is the Marvin team. Okay.
Yeah, Marvin team. I don't know how you feel about George Pickens.
I don't mind the idea,
Samuel, but not trying to give up the running back, trying to maybe use his second, or I doubt you can do a second for George Pickens, honestly. But
I don't mind the idea of like a straight move. But I feel like those running backs are more valuable than Deebo and Dynasty now.
Yeah, that's why I was saying the second. Those seconds for sure.
Would you do the second? I'm kind of indifferent here, but
the second for
Deebo.
For Deebo, yeah. In a win now scenario, I think I would.
Okay.
Especially him being my fifth wide receiver.
Yeah.
And having those boom games, especially, whatever happens. I'm happy to do that.
AJ Brown might be realistic here.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get AJ Brown, would you do that? Would you?
I don't know about T. Higgins. I don't know about T. Higgins, one of these running backs.
I would try and do a deal where I give him Leggett. So I'm going to give you Leggett. I'm going to give you Stevenson, White, or Pacheco, and I'm going to give you a second as an initial offer. And a 12-man start 10. I mean, maybe that's interesting. I think I would pay a first as well if I had to for this deal.
Yeah.
Leggett first and one of these running backs for AJ. I think I would.
For me, I would just do like a first and White or Pacheco for AJ Brown.
Okay, like that's an alternate option. You keep Leggett.
Yeah.
I just really want to use Leggett here, but so you're saying a first and one of these running backs.
Ideally, one of these. Yeah, ideally White or Pacheco. My eyes, but yes, for one of these running backs.
That makes sense.
Maybe I don't know what the deal can be with Malik Neighbors, but maybe something similar. I think maybe
same deal.
Same deal, and I'm happy to pay maybe an extra second for that. I don't know. Is that too much? Because he's a younger asset. only wide receiver on his team.
Yeah. I think either of those names would work. Okay, and now we're getting into teams that have good running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Phil Connor. He has Waddle and Collins. He's got 2 running backs, but his depth is shot completely.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can give him. We want to get Collins or Waddle.
I'm happy with either of those guys, to be honest.
I think it's this package for DK, but you don't get a pick back.
Package for DK, Stevenson, White, Pacheco.
I would so Stevenson in a second for Waddle. That doesn't feel like crazy. I would even pay something where, like, I would include a first in this deal if I get a second back. Like, if they want to get a first.
Sure, if they want the first, yeah, let me get a second. Yeah. Sure, I'm happy to do that as well. That's a good deal.
I really think the running back room is where you try and get a deal done, though. Like, I don't feel a need to move Lamb, Chase, London, Adunze. Higgins we can move if a deal makes sense. We don't need to improve tight end. I am not open to moving Jonathan Taylor. I know everyone hates me for saying that. But in this format, I'd actually like to tier up from a JT to like a Bijan or something. Like one of those top 3 names.
Bijan or Brees there.
If I can somehow add JT with something, like what would it cost me to go to a Bijan, a Brees, a Gibbs? I think Gibbs might be really cheap to do.
Yeah, I would actually potentially, I mean, here, go to Crazy 8's team. I think this could be a good opportunity because you can use one of these running backs as well.
Yeah. How about...
See, he has Bijan. His running backs are pretty bad, and then he has Wilson, Ayuk.
How about... Okay, this could be perfect because your win now team, Cooper Kupp, I think is a good addition. So we're going to get Bijan and Kupp, who his value is shot in Dynasty in most leagues, but I guess it depends on your league. We're going to give you JT and Stevenson, White, or Pacheco.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I like that. I wonder if you can potentially squeeze something out because his value is shot, and that's how I would argue this. Look, you're getting specifically if it's, let's just say it's Pacheco. You're playing with Patrick Mahomes. You know the type of outwork he's getting with Jonathan Taylor, and you tier up. You have a good RB2. I need a little bit more. Can I get a second? Can I get a second? I was going to say
we might have to pay more than this.
Oh,
I don't think you're going to get a cheaper price than that.
The reason why I would say that is because Bijan and JT are technically still. I mean, they're not in the same tier.
Yeah,
but
no one puts them in the same tier. You have to pay to get there.
The thing is, it's not that far off. You're going from RB2 to like depending on the ranking, RB5, RB4.
Yeah,
but I can definitely see what you're saying.
Thought, Styles. He says you may need to add a second to this deal. Yeah, I don't think you can ask for more. If you ask for more, it's getting instantly declined and you're getting no reply.
I wonder if that's the case. Then should I go with the younger asset and with a read?
No,
or can I get like a
instant decline if you send that to me?
Gosh, is that how much you have to pay for Bijan right now?
Absolutely.
That just feels like it's not that far off.
To me, that feels like a discount.
Okay, I mean, look, we could definitely put it on. I'm just trying to squeeze as much value on my side as well. Like, can he throw in DeAndre Hopkins? Can he throw in, Gus Edwards, or can he throw in something else? But if this is the price, sure. With us adding the second there too.
Like, I just think you're already on the limit. I think.
Okay, that's fair.
I think adding more, you're going to get an instant decline. And I want to be careful not to let that happen when we have the depth to make a move,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I guess we can. I don't know. I think it'd be tough.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. I mean, if that's what the value is there, and I'm assuming if that is the same thing for Bijan, if that's for Bijan, then it should be the same for Gibbs and Brees.
So I feel that those two are a little bit more acquirable.
Okay.
But I don't think they're going to be any cheaper. But I think they're more acquirable. Like, I think the owner will be more open. And the good thing is the Brees Hall owner has very little depth anywhere. So this could be a really good option. I mean, yeah, I would do the same deal for Brees Hall. JT, we're going to have to get Brees Hall and what, like a Ridley maybe? Mm-hmm. Well, that's not going to work for him. He can't have Josh Downs as his wide receiver too.
No, he can't.
But what if we got like a man, I wonder if you could do you couldn't do a Purdy Bryce Young swap. How about this? This is a creative way to try and tackle this. There's not a very, like, I will say here, JT with Stevenson or White or Pacheco for Brees Hall, that feels like an overpay. But I wonder if we can do Brees Hall and Purdy. We're going to give you JT and Stevenson. And we're also going to give you Levis and a first.
Okay.
So
I'm okay with that.
That actually feels like potentially an overpay. What else can we get back in return? Jonathan Taylor.
For the Brees Hall one?
Actually, let's take out the other running backs. That feels more realistic to me. JT and Levis in a first.
Levis in a first with Brees and Purdy. Yeah, that feels good.
That feels realistic. And I think I would settle if he wanted to add one of those running backs. I would settle by asking him for a second-round pick in return.
Okay. I would, yeah. And for the Brees Hall owner, sure.
So if we did that deal, let's just play it out because I wanna understand what this would look like. We lose JT, let's say it's Stevenson. We lose JT, Stevenson, Levis. Okay. So we lose JT, we lose Stevenson, and we lose Levis. But we add Brock Purdy with Jordan Love. And we have Brees Hall with Rachaad White and Isaiah Pacheco still. I don't love the way that feels.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't love the way that feels.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy with the first one still. I think expanding maybe like JT Levis in a first.
Okay, JT Levis in a first. Let's leave it at that.
For yeah, Purdy. JT Levis in a first for Purdy. Yeah,
that's a more difficult team to structure with, but and then the last one is Gibbs.
Gibbs, James Cook, Damian Pierce. So the depth is he can definitely tear up. Still, the wide receiver he has Nico and Waddle there.
Yeah, I would say like a Gibbs and a Waddle for a JT.
I guess maybe we can package both of like JT and like a T.
Or JT what plus was Higgins.
What was one of the? Because we were doing Stevenson. We were doing one of those running backs plus a second for a Waddle or Nico.
So we're gonna do JT plus Higgins in a second.
Exactly for Gibbs and Waddle or Nico.
Yeah, I like that. Anyway. We probably went too in depth on the JT thing. And by the way, like I'm not saying you need to.
Hold on. Guy's on fire apparently.
What's on fire? What's on fire? What the fuck? I'm gonna re-listen. The dryer's on fire. Okay. Well, I hope no one. I think he said the dryer's on fire. I hope no one's. Everything's gonna be okay over there. All right, guys. Everything's gonna be okay. Look, I just want to clarify. I don't think you need to sell Jonathan Taylor. If some of those deals are out there, though, I'm not against exploring it, especially if you can go out and get a Bijan and still get White and Pacheco on your team. So, really good team. I would say the ideal move is to get like an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Which we showed. I like the idea of the AJ Brown move as well. So if both of those deals are available to you, I think I prefer the Amon-Ra deal. But let's say we were to lose Stevenson and Higgins on this team. All right, could we afford that? Can we afford to lose Stevenson? Yes, we'll still have JT, White, and Pacheco. Can we afford to lose Higgins? Yes, because Adunze becomes our 5th best option with a wide receiver room of Lamb, Chase, and Amon-Ra. So, yeah, I like these options for you. Yeah, Styles, I don't mind the idea of upgrading a quarterback, but I think there's enough there with that trio for me to kind of like rock with that. I'll say this. In season, can I freaking spell? Be open to upgrading quarterback if Levis, Young aren't fitting the bill. Because I think they're fun wild cards at this point. You know, if this team only had Bryce Young and they had, let's say if it was Young, Love, and Tannehill, yeah, different story. But I think with those 3, that's enough for me to kind of play it cool for now. Yeah, Levis for Cousins isn't a bad option, but
All right, I'm back.
you are limiting your upside there in a way, though. Like, if Levis actually becomes a superstar with all the weapons around him now, you are kind of limiting what your range of outcomes might be. But, okay, did you say the dryer's on fire?
Yeah, apparently the dryer was on fire, and Ellen like came in and said the dryer's on fire. I was like, what? So,
Okay.
I don't know. It just unplugged it. I got there and it wasn't on fire. It smells like fire though, so I'm not necessarily sure if it's like lit just caught on fire, or if, like the dryer's just actually shit itself now. So.
Well, I think that's probably the absolute most we can do. I'd say this is another strong team, like A range. I'd say this is a strong A. You're like a Bryce Young or a Will Levis stepping up to be a good quarterback away from being an A+ team.
I agree. This is a great team. And hopefully this helps you, man. I mean, this is do your thing.
Yeah, I realized you didn't have his 26 first, so these were our 25 first, so this would be all 26 first.
All 26 first? Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, really good team. You're in the driver's seat in this league.
Yeah.
And
this is great.
And we appreciate you, man. Let me send you this hotline here. And if you could at some point let us know what a Glandman is. I am actually very curious. I'd love to know what a Glandman is.
Maybe he just made it up, you know?
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe that's just his last name, Glandman.
Yeah, that could make sense.
You know, fighting Glandman because
I hope there's a better story behind it. But
the fact that is your last name is not good enough. By the way,
I'd love there to be. I mean, I think there'd be a much better way. Maddie says that's actually pretty scary. Lint can cause fire for sure. Glad you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, you replace or clearing out the thing in the dryer. Every time? Okay.
I clear it out all the time. Apparently, it was in the back of the dryer because when Ellen saw it, she's like, I smell smoke, and she went to the laundry, and she opened the dryer. And there was just fire in the back of like that circle thing.
Oh, okay.
And she just like unplugged it, and then she was like, "There's a fire." But once I got there, it was out. So hopefully it's pretty chill now, and hopefully the dryer's not effed because that means we need to buy a new dryer, and that's just annoying.
Yeah, that's.
And it's winter time over here, which is just stupid.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, sounds like you'll be okay. Thank God. No one's on fire.
Yep.
All right, we are going to go to another team here tonight, but we want to let you guys know if you're watching this and you want your team reviewed, it's very, very simple. There are 2 ways. First option is for you to buy an a la carte team review. That's what the link I just sent in the chat there. It'll take you to a website that looks like this. Doesn't matter what code you've used to sign up to a membership. If you're on Domain or FSE or Flock, you can still get a team review from us through this website, through this link. This is the a la carte store. It doesn't even matter if you're a member. You can buy a team review without being a member to anyone's code as well. The second option, once you go through there, fill this all out. You've got Zach and Badaki here, the land guys. The second option is for you to be a Mother Flocker member, a yearly Mother Flocker member, with the code LAND. We still think that that is the best bang for your buck. I think it is by far the best value, but a lot of people do prefer to. What's funny?
Maddie. I was just reading the chat. It's like she was role playing, but Dynasty missed out on an opportunity.
Oh my goodness!
Could have came in like the whole fired outfit.
Yeah.
Fire? What?
Oh my goodness!
Just holds you down. Like what?
Anyway, all right, PG stream. Oh,
PG
all right,
stream.
one more review tonight. Again, if you guys sign up, we will get your review done in 3 days maximum. Very quick turnaround right now. And let's set a like goal today of 40 likes. We're only about 10 likes away from 40. Do us a favor, hit that like button to show some love. But let's have a look at Hock Tua that thing.
Hock Tua that thing. Shout out to her, huh? Shout out to Hock Tua. Saying, just joined the league with an Orphan team. It was in shambles as I helped another guy a year ago pick it apart. I joined for the challenge. I made the draft pick this year and made a lot of moves already. And know I'm a few years from competing for even a playoff spot. And then he puts in the chat the starting lineup. It's 1 quarterback. It's also 0.25 per rushing attempts with 2.5 tight end premium.
Wow.
So this is tight ends are extremely valuable here.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Okay, so we have a start 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. This was like start 12, 6 flexes and 2 super flex.
No, this is start 9. It says start 9 on the site, but he put something else.
It says 2 super flex.
Yeah, it does say super flex, but on his thing it says, unless I read it wrong.
Well, at minimum, it's got to be bigger than start 9 because he's saying 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end. That's 4. 6 flex spots already put you at 10.
And then 2 super flex.
Steve is with us. It is 2 super flex, he says.
Okay, so you can start 12. You can start up. Wow, that's weird that the site didn't realize. You can start up to 3 quarterbacks, you're saying, Steve? Please correct us. Or let us know if that is okay.
I will say, I get the like 0.25 per rush attempts. So let's say like you have 20 rushing attempts in a game. That's going to give you an extra 5 points. However, this format devalues running backs even more because you're making wide receivers, you're giving them 1.5 points per reception. Yeah. PPR is already in favor of a wide receiver, unless it's like a Jahmyr Gibbs or something, CMC. So you're giving a receiver a point less per reception than a wide receiver. You're giving a running back a full point less per reception than a wide receiver. I get the rushing attempt bonus there. But this makes running backs, I feel, way less valuable than they already are. It makes wide receivers overpowered, and it certainly makes tight end the most important position. Well, you can start 3 quarterbacks, so quarterback is still the most important position.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can start 3 quarterbacks here. So now that we have our head wrapped around this, 3 quarterbacks, 2.5 tight end premium. The running back position is not as valuable. The wide receiver position is still, I would say, as valuable as any other league, even if it was a full PPR, because of how other premiums are happening here.
And the reason you can do a 3 super flex league is because it's a 10-man. 12-man, it would be pointless. You just have to make that a flex. But this is super interesting. You are the worst team according to our rankings.
Mm-hmm. This is a start 10, by the way.
And he did.
10-man league.
He did say that. I lost my train of thought. He did say he took this over as an orphan. So obviously he didn't put this team into the ground. Someone else did. And now it's his job to try and build it back up. So, just quick look at the number 1 team, who has Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Etienne, Benson, Pacheco, Swift, Jefferson, Wilson, Brown, Flowers, Deontay, and pretty weak at tight end. That is kind of what we're looking at. Let's look at his team now. Why don't you start us off here?
His team, remember, you can start with 3 quarterbacks: Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, and Bryce Young. So it looks like you have the 101 here, man. A couple first-round picks. So the quarterback room is good there. The depth obviously does fall off, but you have Jacoby Brissett, Sam Darnold. They do start this year. In the start 3 quarterback, I guess just having 3, you're kind of blessed. Having any more than that, it's like, my goodness.
I don't think we need to look at the rest of this team. I'll just be honest, like, this is really bad. And you know that, obviously. That's why you've come to us. The issue is we don't have our first-round pick.
No, we don't.
What happened to our first-round pick? Because we are going to be so bad, and we will not benefit from it at all this year. That is going to be tough to swallow. That's what she said. Hock Tua. He traded it for Kincaid. Okay. And in this format, I get it.
I mean, you traded a first for Kincaid, and that's all you traded Kincaid for 4 first? No.
That Styles is saying to do that.
Okay.
So Steve traded his first for
That's
Kincaid.
actually so true.
And honestly, that is a pretty good deal in this format. But here's the thing with this format, like everything outside of running back really matters. Like wide receivers are overpowered. You can start 3 quarterbacks. Tight ends have 2.5 points per reception. So
this is really difficult because we don't have much to utilize, and we don't have enough. When I say we don't have much to utilize, we can't go out and trade for some people, right? We can't, because we don't have our first this year, and we don't want to send our first next year. I think this is the way I'm seeing it, and I'm not trying to sell the Roma Dunze because that's who I'm going to be growing with. I'm not going to be selling Lad McConkey. That's who I'm going to be growing with. I don't want to sell my 2 quarterbacks that I just drafted. Same thing with Dalton Kincaid. I think this is a sell high at the right time for players to get more value.
I think if we could, and I am the Lad McConkey guy. That's my dude. But if we can get our first round pick back for Lad McConkey, I'm doing it in a heartbeat.
Sure, and I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that as well.
Let's just say, how can we get our first? I will say, if you just traded away your first round pick, it might be difficult to get it back. Steve says, I'm hoping to basically get spikes during in-season itself.
And that's kind of where I was leaning to. You spike sell Zach Moss. I know a lot of people don't love Christian Watson. You sell him. Quentin Johnston. Can you sell Quentin Johnston? Can you sell, I doubt you can sell Treylon Burks, but someone like a Brandon Cooks. Romeo
Cooks is a 4th round pick, though.
No, I get what I'm saying. I get what you're saying, but like in those spike weeks in a winning value, I mean, what were people buying Adam Thielen for last year? They were sending, thirds and seconds because they were a win now team because of how incredible the targets were going, and then they regret it. So like that's what I'm saying, right? You try and do those things in season.
I think from a value perspective, it makes sense. Like that's a good deal for Kincaid. But you are essentially saying this year I'm punting and I don't get any benefit from
it. Well, you get the benefit from selling the players.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying you selling your first round pick, which I'm talking specifically to Steve here.
Oh, to Steve. Okay, I thought you were talking to me like with my idea. Sure, I get what you're saying.
No, you are essentially not going to benefit from it at all. So, yeah, this is tough because even with the addition of Kincaid, you're not gonna win many games this year. I mean, I want to know if I can sell Kincaid. As much as I like Kincaid, I want to know if I can sell him.
Well, the thing is, I was looking at it. The worst team, Travis Kelce, David Njoku. No,
No, that's not the worst team. The worst team is
sorry, the worst.
definitely Case Man,
Sorry,
who has
I
Kate
looked at I
on.
looked at the wrong one. He has Dalton Schultz. That is the worst tight end.
I'd say the one who has Kate Otten and Theo Johnson's worse.
Or Case Man. Okay, yes. Sorry, I just found that.
Um,
Sure. And he has 2 first-round picks.
it makes no sense to sell Kincaid unless you get your first round pick back though. And you just did that deal.
Oh.
So who got your first round pick then?
Up to a first. A Hardy, the Bears logo has his first.
I'm seeing it with a friendly one with the Broncos logo.
A friendly one. Okay, yes. You're right. I looked at the wrong team name. I looked down instead of up.
That's okay. I was like, am I not in the right one?
No. Yeah. And he has Mark Andrews, so he definitely sold to get more value because he had probably the 2 tight ends.
Oh yeah, I mean he gave you Kincaid and he already has Andrews. I mean he knows that this is going to be the 101 next year.
No question.
He's not going to give you that first round pick back.
1,000%.
You're not sniffing that first round pick again. Oh my goodness, this is tough.
I think.
Yeah, there's no way you get that first back, man.
And if you can't get that first, then there's no point of selling Dulce Kincaid, unless you can get multiple firsts and just.
Well, no, there is no point of selling Kincaid because you're gonna make that pick even more valuable. See, Steve says I'm hoping to punt to 26 picks, and I get like this is a tough team. Like you're in it for the long run, but I just don't like the idea of like waiting a whole nother year until our first round pick is valuable in the idea of like a rebuild. But I really don't know that you have any other move. Now that we don't have our first round pick, I gotta be honest, like that was a really smart move from this team.
Yeah, just not ideal, unfortunately. There, Steve. I'm not necessarily sure what we can do unless we sell our most valuable players here.
Let's talk through this. I do think there's a move that we can make. It involves Caleb Williams. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is a movable piece, but we are rebuilding. Doesn't make sense. We'll talk about that. So, at running back, I don't know who the hell you can sell here. Maybe Kamani Vidal if he becomes a starter. Maybe Tyrone Tracy if he becomes a starter. Zach Moss, I think, is someone you can get a second-round pick for. At wide receiver, we're not selling Roma Dunze. Watson is not someone you can sell. Lad McConkey is someone we want to build around. And we won't sell him for a random first if it's not our own. You can't sell Lockett, QJ, Mingo, Burks, and really anyone, Thielen, Hyatt, Cooks. I'll be honest. I feel like with that move, you kind of locked yourself in a box here.
Well, that's what I was going to say because you're saying we can sell our other valuable player in Caleb, but I think it's going to be the same thing. Well, if you're not going to get our first back, then we can get more value somewhere else at another wide receiver, down tier at a quarterback, and get a first. Maybe we can do like a 3-for-1 type of deal.
This team,
but still, that's not going to be his first. Still, that's not going to be guaranteed a high first. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, this team, you are kind of just better off holding on to Caleb. Okay, so let me paint you the best case scenario for this team. The best case scenario for this team is that Caleb Williams is actually a freaking superstar. And that's complemented by Roma Dunze breaking out this year somehow with all those options. Because instantly, you have more flexibility with this team this time next year. Can you pivot off of Caleb Williams to a better name, which right now you can't really do. It doesn't make sense to do it right now. With Roma Dunze, do you want to build around him? Can we tear down certain ways? Can we get extra draft capital in future years and good players? The best case scenario for this team is that those two players become superstars this year. Lad McConkey becomes a superstar. It's all internal moves. Because we obviously don't want to sell any of our future draft capital. And there's no one really that enticing outside of Dalton Kincaid, who you just paid your first round pick for. And we don't want to move a Dunze Watson McConkey. You're in a very difficult position, my brother. Okay. So, yeah, and Style says you should try and ship Kincaid for multiple first. I don't mind that idea, but then you're like, it makes sense. But then you're putting yourself in a position where that first that you sent is unquestionably the 101. You're leaving no scenario in which your team improves and that pick doesn't hurt you as
I think
much.
regardless, it's the 101. Like, I think even him having Kincaid doesn't, like, respectfully, I don't necessarily see him winning many games. He said this team hasn't won a game in 2 years. So regardless, that is the 101 with the Kincaid or without Kincaid. So I think maybe we just need to take that loss. We need to take our loss and then punt, right? Whether that's selling our most valuable in Kincaid or
in
or
this
not.
league, I want to build around Kincaid.
Yeah,
and I get the idea of like selling him, but I don't think you can sell him for anything more valuable than the 101 in a future class.
Sure. Yeah, I think unless you sell Kincaid next year in that draft.
Maybe then, if Kincaid breaks out, you can tear down from Kincaid, but everything is a what if on this team right now.
100%.
Literally every single thing is a what if. What if Caleb has a great rookie year? What if McCarthy starts? What if Bryce Young has a comeback season? What if Zach Moss ends up being the dude in Cincinnati? What if Kamani Vidal ends up starting? What if Tyrone Tracy takes a job in New York? What if Adunze breaks out despite all the options in Chicago? What if Christian Watson stays healthy? What if Vlad McConkey is the number one for Justin Herbert? What if Dalton Kincaid ends up breaking out finally without Stephon Diggs? It's like a what if across the board. So I think the bare minimum we can offer you is sell highs in season. But I honestly feel, Steve, we are quite limited now that we don't have that pick. But yeah, Zach Moss is really the only one that makes sense to sell high in season.
Yeah, and obviously it's a lot of what ifs and a lot of, I kind of mentioned, right? Like, let's start from the quarterback. Sam Darnold, if he is the starter and is not J.J. McCarthy, what can you get for him? I doubt Jacoby Brissett's going to be somebody of value, but can you do Jacoby Brissett? Zach Moss.
Brissett is not a bad sell. I've sold him in a regular Superflex league to the Drake May owner. Mm-hmm. And in a 3 Superflex league, you definitely can. If you guys are just joining us, Steve's league here, this is an Orphan that he took over, and it's a very, very unique league. I think I put this in the chat somewhere. Okay, sorry, here it is. So the league details are, just so we're on the same page, you can start up to 12 players. You can start 7 wide receivers. There are 2 super flex spots, which means you can start 3 quarterbacks. A running back has 0.5 points per reception. Tight end has 1.5 or 2.5, and wide receiver has 1.5. So it's a very, very unique league. And DJ says, will the guy who sold Kincaid for his first buy high on anybody else? We went to that team earlier, DJ. If I have this team, when I have Mark Andrews, I sold Kincaid for probably the 101. I am not letting that pick go off my team.
I would say it's worth trying, Steve, if this guy probably knows what he's doing. But, like, if you could do something what DJ is kind of saying, and he's willing to do that because he maybe is finding that quarterback position a little bit more valuable. Like, if he'd rather have Caleb Williams over Deshaun Watson or Daniel Jones as his QB3 and give back your first, maybe that's something that's more valuable to him. Potentially. I could be wrong. And I would agree with Zach. It's probably very doubtful. But I would say give it a try. Like, you have nothing to lose now. You genuinely have nothing to lose.
This guy couldn't be more set up in this format, though. He's got 3 quarterbacks he can start. He only needs to start one running back. That's Saquon. He's still got Mark Andrews. He's got the 101 in 2025, most likely. If I'm that team, I'm holding that. That's staying on my team. But he's got Chase, Olave, Pickens, Reed, Jason, Kirk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you can start someone between Brian Robinson. I just don't think he needs it.
Yeah.
But okay, let's at minimum. And Steve, I hope this is helpful. I hope you aren't like thinking that we're trashing you for that move or anything. It's just you're in a tough spot. Like, let's be honest, you're in a tough spot. But in season, you might be able to get a second. You know what's difficult, dude? Zach Moss is like even less valuable in this league than he is in almost any other league. Because again, running backs are devalued in this league more than they ever are. So you were already struggling to get a second in a normal league. I don't know if you net a second, but that's probably like best case scenario in season. Brissett might actually be the easier sell. So who's a team that needs... Actually, who has Drake May?
Who has Drizzy? Maybe, yeah, Drizzy. Don't be a Hunt.
Okay. Can we send him Brissett? Like, would you do... See, Kendra doesn't even make sense because we don't even need running backs on this team. Would you do Brissett?
I'm looking for picks. I'm looking for picks and only picks, especially not... Unless, like, it's a wide receiver that you can get, but I doubt you can get an Xavier. I doubt... I mean, would you want to do that for Jameson? You might as well take a shot on a random second. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd rather take a shot.
See, I thought about that style as Brissett and a third for a second, but you're potentially giving away the 301 if you send away your third, which is equivalent maybe to the late second you're going to get anyway.
Well, I'm happy to give up someone like an Adam Thielen or a Treylon Burks, or like, I think we just throw add-ons. I'll give you Jacoby Brissett and Treylon Burks.
I want to find my way into Xavier Legette somehow. So Brissett plus what trash on our team could we try and sell?
Yep.
Brissett plus... I mean, would you do Brissett plus Moss?
I would rather take the chance on Moss in season than packaging him with Brissett.
So let's say Brissett plus
I would try these other players first. Dobbs, Lockett, Burks, Thielen, Cooks to get an Xavier.
Burks is going to be dropped in most leagues, so he's not going to help. It would have to be Dobbs or Lockett. No one else is valuable.
Sure. Whichever one.
Or maybe a Cooks.
Yes. I'm happy to do that for the 2-for-1 for Xavier.
But I'd also say if this guy's like a big Kamani Vidal guy, then I would sell Kamani Vidal and Brissett. Remember, you can start 3 quarterbacks in this league, guys, for Xavier Legette. The reason I would do that is because we only need to start 1 running back.
Mm-hmm.
If that can somehow net me an unknown wide receiver, I'm doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I like that.
All right, who is really bad at quarterback? No, that's the next thing we need to look at. This guy is Tua Penix Geno. Could we get a Michael Wilson for? Like, we're reaching deep into the bag, but I think we have to. Would you do Brissett for Michael Wilson? I'm trying.
We are reaching. I don't know if I would do that. I'm looking for picks.
Okay, then I'll do Brissett for Michael Wilson and Pop Douglas. Give me Pop Douglas and Michael Wilson. And I'll throw you Jalen Hyatt.
I think, like, once again, like, these guys I'm not going to be growing with unless they break out. Like, both of those are 2 what ifs, but at the same time, that 25-5 is a what if player as well. So, like, I get what you're saying. I guess.
I think if you can add 2 guys who I think have an opportunity to improve their value this year, I think it's worth it. You have to take chances like this. I mean, Michael Wilson, we think is a very good player. I think he's going to be more involved. I've said before, I think Pop Douglas could be a breakout this year. I don't think Brandon Cooks is someone that you want to build around long term. If you can attach Brandon Cooks and Brissett and take a shot on those guys, that's fine. But you need to take a shot on players that could potentially be surprise breakouts. But I guess if you're saying you can get a second for him, of course we would take that. I don't think that's possible. I don't think you can get a second, but sure, why not try?
I guess I'm doing it with a package of one of those players, right? I'm doing Brissett plus Kamani for a second, or Xavier. Brissett plus Kamani or Cooks for a second. That's kind of where I'm going. So just plus for a second. I think that's great. I think that's a great value, and you take a shot in the second, and you get more draft capital next year. What else? And I genuinely believe everyone else is a must wait in season. Kamani Vidal is a wait in season. I mean, you can even go to even with like Jaleel, just Avante get cut early in season or early in the in training camp. If that is the actual rumor and that happens, how much can he vet? Right.
I'm still looking at options to sell Brissett, but I think Amon-Ra Doggin could be an option. He's got Burrow, Daniels, Hooker. If he wants to start a third quarterback,
sure. If he wants,
I'm willing to take a shot on Dotson there or Corley.
Sure.
Because again, those aren't players that we feel great about building around, but I need the unknowns. I know Brissett is not a franchise quarterback. Can Dotson or Corley be a starter at some point in their career? That's what I want to find out. I mean, if you can find your way into a Jalen Polk, but we're going to give him Brissett and Kamani Vidal.
Sure.
We're going to give him Brissett and what? You said Jaleel McLaughlin? We'll also try a Brandon Cooks. And keeping in mind, you can start 3 quarterbacks in this league. That's the only reason you can sell Brissett for anything worthwhile. But yeah, I think you're pretty limited after that.
I think so as well. Let us know if you have any other questions, Steven. I know you were here with us. I know you said you were trying to punt for that 2025 class. 2026, excuse me. So you're not having... So at the moment, what's good is that you have the 201.
Yeah.
And that 201 is obviously going to be of value, whatever that looks like. And you know what sucks for this is that in a league like this, specifically in the class right now that we're projecting this 25 class to be deep at running backs, it's like the least thing that you want, right? Like,
look, in that sense, it might pay off for you, but like right now, I'm projecting Luther Burden and Tet McMillan to be the 101 next year. If those guys have the season we think they will have, I think in your format, 1.5 point per reception for a wide receiver, I think you would rather have those names at the 101 next year. But the scenario where that's different is if Kincaid finishes as like a top 3 tight end this year. Then you're like, you know what? In this format, I actually think I won that trade. So
yeah.
I don't hate this format, but I really don't like how running backs don't matter at all, almost.
Yeah, the format is definitely fun. And I think having that extra flex gives them more flexibility of starting other people. Like, for example, is the Amon-Ra Doggin that has Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, that doesn't have another quarterback? Like, is he going to start Jacoby Brissett over the likes of, either Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts, Jake Ferguson, or Nico Collins?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you look at his tight end room, I think all 3 of those guys are probably starting.
Yeah, exactly. So like, he's probably not even caring to have Jacoby. Because the running backs do get a 0.5 bonus for 20 plus carries.
We did talk about that at the beginning of the review. I still think when you're giving a wide receiver a full point extra per reception, which they're already overpowered, I think it devalues running backs compared to a normal format.
I don't think a 0.5 bonus for a total carry is a big deal either.
0.25.
Like, that's not.
Is the per carry bonus. That's why 5 points for 20 carries.
5 points, right.
I just want to work out the math here real quick. So Sam Laporta last year finishes the tight end 1. He averaged 14.1 points per game. He had 86 receptions. So essentially we are adding 1.5. We're timesing 86 by 1.5.
Maths here.
We're going to give him 129 extra points to his 239 point total, which means that on a 17 game pace, he averaged 21.6 points per game. Now, Evan Ingram, who had 114 receptions last year. This will get interesting. Evan Ingram on a 17 game pace averaged 23.5 points per game. But this is really like interesting scoring. I don't like when smaller leagues just kind of don't change anything up. So it is fun at minimum.
That's what's exciting about tight end premium, because it puts weight on a position that's not necessary. Like, you can win a league without having a top premium tight end, right? Yeah. So the fact that you potentially can have that, or I feel like you need to have a tight end in that position, makes this fun, because you kind of dive deep into the tight end position. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Thielen, Cooks, Lockett, sell in season, probably a third, or package for second.
Agreed.
And you're probably going to want to start piling up picks for 2026. You already got a lot of seconds in 25. I think any of these deals, let's just say, probably you want to look at 26 at this point. I want to leave Steve some time to ask some questions. This is a very unique league. Honestly, Steve, I hope we helped. I hope you didn't take it as like us trashing your team. Obviously, it's a rebuild. We know that it's an orphan and you took it over. I just think you're in a difficult spot, and you probably already knew that, but I hope that this was helpful. N'Keal Harry's going to change the tight end. Maybe that's where he thrives. I don't know. But in a league where you have 2.5 points per reception, I don't think the waiver wire is going to give you anything. I mean, every tight end is going to be rostered in this league.
Take me off the roster.
You know, we got Davis Allen rostered. We've got Darnell Washington rostered. Brenton Strange. I think your waiver wire tight end room is going to be pretty bare. Yeah. Trenton says, are there any tight ends on waivers? Definitely worth looking. I would say if I had to bet on it, I'd say probably not.
Yeah, there's probably not much on the waiver wires. I was just looking. A lot of these teams have minimum of 4 to 5 tight ends. One team has, I think nearly 10 tight ends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 tight ends. So it's probably definitely bare, but
yeah. There's a scenario where you feel really good heading into next year, and that scenario is Caleb Williams is playing really well. JJ McCarthy is now starting and looking okay. Bryce Young has a comeback season. Roma Dunze looks good. Watson bounces back. Ladd is the number 1. You know, there's a scenario here where, you know, you're feeling good. Dalton Kincaid breaks out. But all I'm saying is I would find it difficult knowing that my team isn't good and not actively benefiting from the draft pick of that. But
yeah,
it is what it is at this point. You can't change that.
No, you can't. But we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the support.
Yes. Thank you so much for the support. I'm going to send you this whiteboard. Last thing I'll say, Thielen, Cooks, and Lockett, sell them in season if you can. I don't think you're going to get a second, but if you package them in a league where you can start 7 wide receivers, maybe there is a team out there that's willing to give you a second-round pick. But Steve says, no, it's a horrible team. And definitely, you know, I can respect that you were up to take on the challenge, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But,
tell me you want your money back, though.
Honestly, I would try and, like, see if they could help me out a little bit. if I joined that league. I would have been like, can you give me an extra second or something? You know, like help me out a little bit. But yeah, Steve, who is there any free agents, free agent tight ends available? Is there any free agent tight ends available in your league?
Let's see, so it was a fun challenge. It was just a fun challenge for me, he said. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Jelani Woods is rostered.
Jelani Woods.
Yeah, I'm curious, Steve, who are the free agent tight ends? Is there anyone of note? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. You got 47 tight ends rostered. Steve says, I'm honestly hoping with it being a running back heavy class, I can turn my 25 seconds into 26 firsts and seconds. You might be able to, but
yeah, maybe.
The only thing I would say, Steve, is with your format, I would value running back the least of any position in this league. So knowing that's the strength of the 25 class, I don't know how your league views it, but it might be more difficult to pull off. I think it would even be helpful if your league required you to start 2 running backs. But
yeah, because next year I think a lot of people are just going to punt the running back position, depending on if they have a really bad running back. And then just knowing how deep that class is, somebody can get a top tight end and then potentially get, one of these second tier running backs or second or third tier running backs that are still most likely going to be decent. Which makes it difficult for you who probably needs another wide receiver or who needs some of these other positions.
Yeah.
So.
Steve says he put a claim in for Hurst. Yeah. Hurst isn't a bad pickup with
Premium.
Everett leaving the Chargers. So that's not a bad idea. Hurst is a good ad. But yeah, man, I'm sorry we couldn't have been more help. I feel like when we're cooking up deals for Pop Douglas, we're cooking up deals for Michael Wilson. We're trying our absolute best to help you. But we appreciate you big time, my man. If anybody's watching the stream and you want your team reviewed by us, it's very simple. I put a link in the chat. It'll also be in the description later on and the pinned comment if you're watching this later. But if you want a team reviewed by us, click the a la carte link. It'll take you to a website that looks like this. Obviously, sync your teams. Make sure your rookie picks are correct. Your username, what information you want us to know is correct. And then you got us there, Zach and Badaki, if you want a review from us. Every review is getting turned around in 3 days or less. And do us a favor, hit that like button. Our like goal today was 40 likes. We're just 2 likes away from that. With your help, I think we can get there. Unless Steve has any last minute questions, that's probably it for today.
Yeah.
Darian says, hey, how's it hanging? Love the content. I don't see how you guys put out good content while following the NFL from Australia. So we are actually both American born and raised. We moved here when we both turned around the age of 20, but we grew up on it. And, there are some pros and cons. The cons are that on Monday morning for us at 3 a.m., that's when the games start on Sunday morning for you guys. So we wake up every Monday, 3 a.m. to watch the games. But yeah, there's pros and cons to it.
It's definitely pros and cons. Like, our sleep schedule is shit, but like sometimes you see some the RVs get out first because everyone's sleeping while we're making content. So there's definitely pros and cons to it.
Yeah. Darian says the schedule is wicked. I was stationed in Korea and it was hard to watch. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some times where we're able to make content while people are sleeping. That's helpful. But there's also times where we miss out on breaking news because we're sleeping. So
Exactly.
But guys, that's it for today. We appreciate you big time. The last thing that I do want to say is, if you do enjoy our content, if you do enjoy our live streams, then we got to let you know that we also have a redraft channel. I'll put the link in the chat there. Make sure you're going over there and subscribing to the Fantasyland Football channel. This was the first channel we ever made, but obviously we're going to help you out in best ball and home redraft leagues. In season, we go through every matchup for wide receivers and running backs, tell you who to start, who to sit, and waiver wires, mustache players, all that on the redraft channel. So go subscribe over there. But we appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon. Drop a like on the stream. All love.
Love.